Kyle Trask, welcome to the #1 ranked show. Thanks so much for joining us. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my privilege. And I want to start with this, right? I got to know you through recruiting, right? Back in Manville. What was it like for you to go through this recruiting process with D'Eriq King being in front of you and then find yourself to Florida?
It was a crazy journey to say the least. Just having that, D'Eriq King at the same school, the same class, back in Manville, Texas. I think it was one good way for both of us to really, push each other and always have that competitive nature in the air. And it was the same thing when I got to, Florida with Felipe. We came in the same class. We're always competing with each other every day. And I think, it helped all three of us in the end.
So you have what I think of as a unique problem that only a privileged few have. You play with studs, okay? You play with guys like Trayvon Grimes and Kadarius Toney and, of course, Kyle Pitts. What do you think it is that people are missing about your game?
I can't tell you that. I'm not really sure how to answer that. But yeah, like you said, I got the privilege to play with a ton of great talent at Florida, and I think what really made us special was how close we were off the field, and it really translated to how we feed off each other on the field, and we were able to go up against some of the top competition and still produce no matter what.
So one of the things I learned in preparing for this interview was just your lineage, right? With your granddad, Orville Trask, playing for the Houston Oilers. How many people do you tell about that? Like, how does that not just get aired out?
Yeah, no one really asked me about it too much, so it doesn't really come out much. But it's down there somewhere if you do some digging. But yeah, my grandpa played for the Oilers, back in the '60s, and he was kind of my role model at a young age to start playing football, and someone that I always looked up to, growing up.
So you win the Tyler Rose Award for the best player in college from the state of Texas, right? And Earl Campbell, of course, played for those Oilers. What does it mean for you to be able to bring that home?
Oh, it's incredible. To get that award, that's something that means a lot to me and my family, especially the Earl Campbell Award in particular. My grandpa playing for the Oilers would always, watch that whole era with Earl Campbell playing. And he would tell me all the stories about how he would, just be like a freight train coming up the middle and just how explosive of a player he was. So then to, later on in life, getting this award directly from him, it's incredible.
So winning that award, putting up more than 4,000 yards passing, throwing for all the touchdowns you threw for, tell me why you didn't decide to go to the Senior Bowl and show out.
Yeah, so actually, I had a high ankle sprain there towards the end of the season, and I was still, just playing through it for the remainder of those games, the past 3 games. And then I was kind of just doing a bunch of rehab. My main focus after the season was just get healthy, because you can't do anything if you're not healthy. So if I went to the Senior Bowl, I'd have missed out on a whole week of rehab. And, like I said, my main goal was getting healthy as fast as I could, and that would be limiting that. And, luckily now, me and the PT I've been working with, we crushed the rehab, and I'm, back to 100%.
So you are 100%. You feel healthy. You feel ready to go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The thing that I wanted to really stress was just how much you had to work to get onto a football field in high school and in college with two athletic guys, D'Eriq King and, of course, Felipe Franks. How do you keep the faith in yourself and your ability to really start at the FBS level and start for the Gators?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, my family and my mom instilling that work ethic in me at a young age, always giving it all, no matter what the situation is. And that's just something that I took with me, to take these adversity struggles that you mentioned, head on whenever I wasn't playing a whole lot. I just kept the faith and kept my head down and kept grinding, because I knew, one day I'm going to get an opportunity. And that's what I always told myself. I was very optimistic, and I just kept grinding every single day. And, luckily I got that chance, and I just had to make the most of it.
What is it that makes that Triple K so lethal during 2020. And when I say Triple K, I mean Kadarius, Kyle, and Kyle. Between the three of you guys, it was nothing you couldn't do. But what in particular made you guys so good?
I think it was just, how close we were off the field, having that bond with each other and being able to, be around each other and play with each other for the past like 2 or 3 years, having that chemistry. And, also, the coaches doing a great job of putting us in positions to be successful, moving Pitts around and KT and, Grimes, just getting great matchups for us that are going to be in our favor. And then it just was on us to go execute.
Kyle Pitts is being called one of the greatest tight end prospects of all time. We'll see about that. Do you think of that dude as a tight end?
I think of him as anything you want him to be. I mean, he's obviously one of the top tight end prospects in the past, I don't know how long. And, in my book, I think he's, arguably, the best prospect out there. I mean, the dude's a freak. Being able to be around him for the past 3 years and seeing what he's blossomed into, there's no way a team wouldn't love to have that on their team.
Did you ever have a play in the playbook where you were just like, I'm going to just throw it up to Kyle, see what happens?
See, a lot of people think that, but no, I always, threw it to Kyle if it was a good matchup for us, or if, maybe the defender had his back turned to me and he couldn't see the ball coming, I'd put it in a place where I knew Kyle could go up and make a play. Like I said before, the coach is doing a great job of putting us in positions to succeed and, moving him around and getting those matchups. We just did a great job of execution, and here we are now.
So they're currently having a quarterback derby at UF. Tell us about those guys, in particular dudes like Emory Jones and what they are capable of in this 21 season.
Yeah, Emory Jones, you've seen him play the past couple of years. He's came in and done a great job whenever his number is called upon. And, it has a lot of experience playing for the past 2 or 3 years, I believe. And I think, the future is very bright for Florida football.
Is there a favorite story you have that you can tell us about Coach Mullen?
Man, I get asked that question quite a bit, and I can't really think of anything off the top of my head because there's just, so many, funny moments with him. But, what I will say is, playing with Coach Mullen was, some of the funnest times of my life. Just he's very much a player's coach, very fun coach to play for, and I'm just very grateful that he gave me that opportunity back in 2019 and let me run with it.
The game you guys played against LSU is one of my favorite for a number of reasons, but I'm going to ask you straight up, what did you think when Marco Nelson threw that shoe?
Obviously, it was a very intense point of the game, and, Coach Mullen always wants us to be very highly competitive, and I can tell just he was super fired up. And obviously, I know he's spoken on his behalf, so I'll leave it at that. But, Marco is a very explosive player, a very hard worker. He stays after practice every single day. And, like you said, you saw him at Pro Day, put him crazy numbers. And, I think, he was a great teammate, a leader on the defense. And I think his future is very bright as well.
Yeah, man, something like a 43-inch vert and 4.3 speed. That dude can fly. And you were around a bunch of guys that could fly. How intense were those practices where you would go against the first team D from time to time?
It was great. You got some of the top players all over the field, going against each other every single day. And that was my favorite period in practice, was at the very end when you got good on good, 11 on 11. You go see if you can put it all together. And at the end of the day, we're all getting better. We got the best players going against each other on the field. That's how you want it to be. You want to have that competitive nature of practice, always grinding and, taking another step, brick by brick. And I think we did a great job of that.
What's the most memorable game of your career at Florida?
Yeah, I would definitely say there's tons of memorable games. The list goes on and on. Auburn 2019 and playing down in Death Valley, and obviously the SEC championship. But for me, the most special one was winning the SEC East and, beating Georgia. Florida Georgia is such a huge game in the SEC East, and to be preparing as much as we did for that game, because we know we're basically the two top dogs in the East as of last year, and we knew we had to beat Georgia, and we got down early, and nobody even flinched, and we just kept fighting, and we played a heck of a game, and to go and finish out the rest of the season and officially win the East. And that's our main goal at the beginning of the season, is win the East. It's on all of our marker boards. So to actually go beat Georgia and have a great season and actually win the East and accomplish our goal, it's a very memorable experience for me.
All right, so you a Texas dude. I'm an Oklahoma dude. That's where I'm from. We know something about a rivalry here. But what is it about Florida and Georgia that sticks out to you that people just don't know about the world's largest outdoor cocktail party?
Yeah, I mean it's wild. I mean, they split the stadium right down the center. I mean, one whole half is blue, one whole half is red, and it's just two top dogs in the SEC going at a neutral location. So everybody, there's probably thousands. I mean, I don't. There's probably millions of people out there at like you said, the world's largest cocktail party, and it's just a crazy environment, just very intense, and I think it's one of the greatest, games to play in college football.
As I understand it, you grow up with a Tim Tebow poster on your wall. Is it still there?
Yeah, I haven't been home in a while. I'm sure it's still up there. I mean, I was a big Tebow fan growing up. I wore number 15 when I was like in 7th grade in middle school. Um, so yeah, I had a couple posters up my wall from like old Sports Illustrated magazines and things like that. But so yeah, that story is true. I'm sure it's still up on my wall.
Has he reached out to you? Have you spoken with him?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tebow's been he's always been around. Having Mullen being his old quarterback coach, back in the day, Tebow would come around and throw with us in the off season, and he's a really great help just to see things from his perspective, how he saw things when he played the game.
This is going down as a very deep quarterback class, and we'll see how good you guys are in a few years. Are you close with any of the guys in this QB class?
Yeah, I mean, working out in Irvine, California over this off season with 3D QB, I got the chance to work with some of the top, prospects in this draft. We had me, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, KJ Costello, and just a very competitive group of guys. And we all kind of grew a bond with each other, just being out there with each other every single day. And like I said, we're very competitive out there, and I think that really helped us out in the end.
Getting to be around those guys and compare notes at this very high level of quarterback play, what have you learned from each of those guys, and what have they been inspired to learn from you?
I'm not particularly sure, what they've learned from me, but I definitely, just watching them, and just seeing how we all practice, because to get to this level, like you have to, have a high self-discipline, and I can tell all these top quarterbacks, whenever you work out with them, there's a lot of great self-discipline that goes on, and it's probably why we've gotten to where we are. But hopefully at the end of the day, this is just the beginning.
When you're preparing to play quarterback, one of the things that I have been told is that you go and watch a lot of other quarterbacks, particularly guys that are similar to you. Which quarterbacks were you watching to help you prepare to be the guy you are?
Are you talking about like NFL guys or what?
It's an open-ended question.
Okay. Well, I mean, I never really watched. I mean, growing up, I was a huge Peyton Manning fan. Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Growing up watching those guys, I always try to like, as a young kid coming up through football, I always try to like mold my arm angles and stuff like that after them and their footwork and things like that. But when it got to college, it was more about watching defenses and different schemes that we're going to be facing, and just having all the answers for that.
Okay, so what did you learn about different defenses and coverages that perhaps you didn't know in high school?
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge jump when you go, especially in the film room, from high school to college. High school, you're kind of watching the game tape, and you see, very simple things they're doing. But college is a whole nother level, and I'm sure NFL is another leap beyond that. But college is just mainly they got all the quality control guys and whatever to have all the percentages of what we're going to see, um, and just being able to take notes and make the connections when you're on the field, and get us in the right play. I mean, obviously there's a lot that goes into it, but at the end of the day, it's all about execution. You can see one thing on film, but you still got to go out there and execute the play.
How do you know when you're dialed in to knowing what the defense is trying to do and knowing how to exploit the weaknesses you see?
I mean, I just think that comes with routine. I mean,
Mm.
you always want to be dialed in come Saturday in college. I mean, that just comes with preparation. You got to be, confidence comes with preparation. Personally, that's how I feel about it. If I'm super prepared for a game, then I'm not even thinking about anything else once I'm out there on Saturday. I'm dialed in, like you said, and I'm just, confident in the game plan. And like I said before, it's all about execution. You just got to go out there and do your thing.
Is there one game in particular that you would point people to say, this is who I am, this is the kind of quarterback that I can be in the NFL?
I mean, yeah, we had a number of great games this past year. I mean, I think some of my top games, obviously, would love to win, but I think, as an offense, we all played well versus Alabama. Like I said, Georgia was a great one for us, and Arkansas, Ole Miss. I mean, we had a number of great games, but definitely like the Georgia game and the Alabama game, going to get some top dogs in the SEC. I think, you know, we definitely showed out as an offense for sure and put up a lot of points.
Who's the best competitor that you've ever been around?
Um, I think I'll I'll keep it in the quarterback world. I mean, me and Felipe were great competitors. So and he was a great competitor. We have oh, it's a great question. I mean, you're playing at the top level in college football. You're around, you got to be a great competitor to get to that point. And luckily for me, I've seen tons of great talent come through this school, and I've been able to pick up things from a list of great competitors that have came through.
Do you have a welcome to Florida football moment where it became real to you, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember my very first. Um, it was an off season, OTA little practice, and we were doing like a little 7-on-7, and I was like 17-year-old kid, early enrollee, spring, OTA, whatever. So I'm out there, and I'm like thinking I'm looking people off, and I throw a slant route, and Marcus Maid picks me off, like pick six, like very first play. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm not where I think I am. So it's just one of those welcome to Florida football moments, I guess.
So, knowing that the game was moving that fast and that the defense that you were playing against was that good, how do you overcome that challenge? What do you do? What are the next steps to going, okay, I'm not where I need to be?
Yeah, so there's definitely not a lot at that point, but you need to have self reflection and be like, okay, well, we got to take it to another step. Because obviously in high school, um, there's not as much, I would say, like mental preparation in terms of film and notes and things like that as there is in college. Um, and luckily for me, I got to be around a lot of great coaches and a lot of older quarterbacks. Whenever I got into the room with Luke Del Rio and Austin Appleby being there and seeing how they prepared, they were seniors at the time, and seeing how they took notes. So yeah, I was able to see what it took to take that next step at that point in time. So I tried to pick up as many pieces from other people and bring it into my preparation routine and go from there.
What have you learned about yourself throughout this really weird process we call leading up to the NFL draft?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of patience and self-discipline, and I've definitely I always thought I had great self-discipline, and it was just a chance for me to really you go off in California by yourself, and you know I think I definitely proved to myself that I can be successful with self-discipline and not having to have a structure in place. Like, when you're in college, you got a lot of people doing stuff for you. But when you're in the draft process, a lot of it's on your own and you have a lot more freedom. And one of my main goals was to lose like 10 to 15 pounds before pro day, and I did that. A lot of self-discipline, like I said, comes from I did a lot of chicken and rice and cardio and stuff like that while still maintaining my strength. I definitely proved to myself that I can have that self-discipline and still be successful.
Well, no, that's a very good point. One of the things that is difficult to get out is just how structured the environment is in college, right? With your strength coach knowing where you're going to be, how you're going to be there, knowing when you're going to have practice, when you're going to be in class, and now you're having to do those things on your own. How did you adapt? What were some of the first steps you made for yourself?
Lately for me, I wouldn't necessarily say adapting because, I love the grind. I love all this, preparation, working out and, throwing with the guys. But obviously there's going to be a little bit of a change because you're out in a new place, meeting new people, but, that just comes with the territory. But for me, I always knew I had that self-discipline. So I didn't really have to adapt to anything besides just, I never been in California before. So I guess I had to adapt to that. That I'm so used to this humidity down here in Florida. But, luckily for me, I was able to, have a very, strict diet regimen and, go ahead and lose 15 pounds and feel great.
So now that this is almost here, how do you feel going into the NFL draft? Do you feel better than you did when you started?
Yeah, I mean, just being around 3D QB and all the guys that we have at Rep One, and hearing their experiences and kind of what to expect going in. And like I said, 3D QB, having John Beck, former NFL quarterback, tell us stories and certain offensive schemes and defenses that are common in the NFL right now, and just being very prepared. I feel a lot better now than I did at the beginning, of course, because I have a lot more information now. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to keep an open mind because, the draft can get crazy. You don't know where you're going to end up. So I'm just keeping a very open mind, and I'm just looking forward to wherever I get the opportunity to go.
What's going to be your first purchase with your game check?
Man, I might have to get myself a set of wheels because I've been scooting around here in Gainesville in college on a little moped. So I might get me a car to drive around in.
What, you got your eye on something? Is there a car you're looking about?
No, not yet. Kind of just chilling right now, and when the time
I'm
is
saying,
right, I'll
dog,
do
like,
it.
you from Texas, you got to get a truck. I mean, I got a truck. I'm from Oklahoma. You not going to get a truck?
Oh, I'm 100% getting a truck. Yeah, no doubt.
Kyle Trask, thank you so much for joining us here on the Number One Ranked Show, and I wish you so much success at the next level. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.